Well, there are numerous legal issues that farmers and ranchers often face, from livestock confinement to state-specific farming regulations. The field of ag law is broad. Roger McEowen with the Washburn University School of Law joins us now to break down a few of the most recent court developments. Good morning to you, Roger. We always appreciate your knowledge. The first case we're going to look at today involves a rule regarding medium-sized confined animal farming operations. What are the highlights?
Well, good to be with you, Christina, and good morning to everyone that's listening and watching. What happened was, on this one in 2016, the Farm Service Agency implemented a rule that exempted medium-sized CAFOs from environmental review for FSA loans. Well, a medium-sized CAFO is pretty big, as most people would think of it. They can house up to 700 dairy cows and 2,500 55-pound hogs, or up to 125,000 chickens. And so they said, we're not going to do any environmental review. We're not going to go through any of the process that's normally there under the National Environmental Protection Act before we approve any of these people for loans. Well, there was a group that challenged that, and basically the court disagreed with FSA. They vacated the rule, set it aside, and said, look, you've got to go through the process that's there.
What would you say is the big takeaway? I think that there are a lot of operators out there right now, medium-sized, and they're wondering, what do I really need to take away from this lawsuit and protect myself going forward?
Well, two things. I think first, the FSA didn't follow the rules in terms of making some sort of environmental finding, and that's pretty important, and it's there in a number of agricultural programs. You've got to make some type of environmental finding or put out an environmental impact statement. They just didn't do anything with respect to this. And then secondly, we had a court that held the agency's feet to the fire. So the process worked through the judicial system in this instance. So FSA will have to start over on this one.
That's why we have the American judicial system, to protect us, to protect our agriculture workers, our farmers, our ranchers out there. Next case we're going to look at focuses on the Domesticated Animal Activity Act. What do we need to keep in mind here?
Well, this is a state-specific law, and a lot of states have laws like this. We're starting to come into fair season, and we're in the midst of it, actually, and rodeos are occurring. And a lot of states have these laws that provide liability, either immunity or some degree of protection for these event sponsors and other animal agricultural activities. It could even reach down to an employee on a farm situation, so the act would protect the employer from the employee being injured working around livestock. So every state statute is different on this one, but we had a case on this, and it involved the Iowa feedlot. And we had a fellow that had a feedlot, and he had a downed heifer, and so he called his neighbor to help him get the heifer up, and the neighbor had done this before. Well, in the process of doing this and assisting the heifer to get up, he injured himself. Well, he turns around and sues his friend, and the feedlot owner who got sued said, I'm going to plead the immunity under the State Domesticated Animal Activity Act.
So this is a tricky one because all farmers want to help their neighbors. What was the court's ruling here? What did we learn from this particular case?
Well, the trial court in Iowa initially said that the farmer was protected by the law and he wasn't responsible for his neighbor's injury, but the appellate court reversed and said that the legislature in Iowa had provided a specific list of activities covered by the law, and assisting a downed heifer in getting up wasn't on that list, and so he didn't have the protection of the statute.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we really appreciate you keeping us up to date. So much to consider in agriculture. Animals can be unpredictable, as we know. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law, thank you so much for joining us. And congratulations, sir, on your new grandson. We follow you on social media.